and welcome to Slamfire Radio, episode 482 on November 17th, 2022. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle.
I'm the other host, Mo.
The other two are out playing hooky, doing something. I don't know.
I don't have anything clever to say of where they are. I'm sure they're doing good work.
Oh yeah, they're doing something. I think actually Angel's out hunting and Kelly's probably wrapped up with work or something.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I think the two of us can figure it out.
Yeah, we might struggle our way through, yeah. But let's get into what we did with guns, and well, let's start with you, Mo. What did you do this week?
Well, so I wasn't on last week. I didn't do much this week, but the weekend before, I went to a match in Joliet, and it was indoors, 4 long stages. And it's an interesting place because it's two narrow ranges, but they do a good job like using that space to I mean it's tight quarters, but
Yeah.
they do a good job like making the stages fun, and they're actually like some good distance of right because it's one of those in Quebec that we're allowed to go forward, and so they create some good long stages where there's a lot of like running and engaging targets from different areas. So that was really good. It's a good place. Um, and they had a stage that had a rope section, so you had to pull down the rope, and some people chose to then hold the rope and shoot, strong hand only, and others would like tuck it between their legs and then engage the targets because they were at a pretty. There was I think 4 plates and 2 paper, and they were I guess a decent distance if you were gonna shoot one-handed. So it made sense to like try to get both hands on the pistol, right, to engage the targets.
I was gonna
And
say, like, did you notice a difference between the guys who held it between their legs or shot it
yeah,
one-handed?
one-handed was definitely was more of a struggle. And so I ended up doing it. I ended up getting the rope like get it between my knees, and I did it pretty well. And the as I talked on previous shows, all the rope and door and port stages are the ones that give me anxiety, and because
Yeah.
I've DQ'd on two sweeping incidents,
Mm.
right? But now I
Yeah.
find that I'm actually starting to like them, and now that I'm getting more comfortable and stuff, like
Right.
that I know I got to keep my free hand away from the gun, and it's and they're getting better. So now I actually like those kind of stages. But before as soon as I see a rope or a door or whatever, I'd be like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So it's becoming, yeah, it was a fun match. And then I stuck around for the teardown, which didn't take too long. There was a lot of people. It's good because everybody seems to stick around, and there were some refreshments after. Quebec's really good about that, about like post match gatherings and stuff. So
Oh yeah.
they do a good job with that stuff. So I signed up for another match this weekend at the Outaouais Club, which is in Quebec. It's near Ottawa. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. I did more dry fire practice, which I'll mention in our main topic. And I also ordered, I'm sure you're familiar with the site Go Fast, Don't Suck.
Oh yeah.
So I ordered some stuff from them, which again I'll mention in the main topic. I actually started following their like their posts on Facebook and stuff, their memes or whatever. It's pretty funny stuff. So of
Yeah.
course it's like it's humor directed to to the competitive shooter and stuff, right? Most people would look at that and go, I don't get it. But
Yeah. Yeah. You got some good stuff out there though.
yeah, they got some good stuff. And really that's it for me. I didn't really buy anything else. I looked at a lot of stuff online. I'm always browsing, right? And then there's the temptation of do I really need that? Do I really need that? And so but
Yeah.
anyways, how about you?
Uh I've been wrapped up dealing with a bunch of stuff, both work and otherwise, so I haven't really had a chance to get out. But like you, I have been shopping around and looking at stuff.
Mhm.
Nothing in particular that I'm going to talk about right now, but Yeah, but I am actually going hunting tomorrow, so we actually get out and do some hunting again because it's been a bit since I've actually made it out. So go out with a buddy and go find some deer. And yeah, like you, just
Nice.
starting doing a little bit more dry fire. And yeah, so
Talk about that
that's
in the main topic.
yeah. We'll have lots to talk about dry fire tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for what we did in guns tonight. Upcoming events. We don't have anything posted in here, but I would say it's getting to be the time. I know we're gearing up to have one at our club, but keep an eye out for your local clubs for like turkey shoots and that kind of thing. If you are planning for like next year, Ladies' Days, Kelly, aka the CCFR Women's Division, they're still looking to sponsor some support events. So just get in touch with them, and they'll get you set up. And to do that, you can either email the show at slamfireradio@gmail.com or info@firearmrights.ca.
I was just gonna mention, like, for events and stuff, there's like a lot of like black badge courses
Mm,
around in all the different provinces. So if you're, a pistol shooter and you want to, take the next step from just, standing and shooting at the range to actually doing an action sport,
yeah,
definitely go for it.
absolutely.
That's my little IPSC plug. There you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's indoor ranges around. So yeah, I'm sure with indoor ranges, they're getting some time doing some black badges. Wintertime's a good time for for indoor training or just training because there's not flooded with competitions or that kind of thing. But yeah, we'll move on to the news. And I'm going to let you take this one, Mo, because you put it in here. You read it. So,
Yeah, so Fiocchi, big ammunition company, Fiocchi, is opening up a primer plant in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I think I read that it's like it'll be one of six primer companies in the U.S. I don't know how many are in the world, but for anybody that reloads their own ammunition, it'll be very welcome news because primers are in very short supply. So
yes. Yeah.
I think that's definitely good news to have another company out there manufacturing primers. A lot of it's going to go into new factory ammo, but there should be some that makes its way to the reloaders, right?
Yeah. That would be nice for sure. But hey, if it makes into ways, if it makes its way into factory ammo, maybe that will free up some other stuff for the reloader. Who knows? But it's more supply, so hopefully that means just either more ammo to buy or more parts for reloading.
Yeah, and if the factory ammo comes down too, then that's definitely another plus for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Okay, so we got the CCFR legal fund donations, and as we've been saying, the court date has been set. It's on April 11th through the 20th of 2023. CCFR et al. Versus Canada. They still need donations. It's still an expensive case, so if you can donate, become a member. You can do that by sending an email EMT to finance@firearmsrights.ca. Or you can become a member by just going to firearmsrights.ca. And this will be the last week we mention this because there's only a few days left. But the Canadian Firearms Enthusiasts Discord server is also, they're getting ready to wrap up their giveaway. And it's going to be donations to the CCFR or CS AAA. So same thing as we've done in the past. If you make a donation, screenshot your donation receipt, crop out all your personal data, upload or send it to @Scrads on the Canadian Firearms Enthusiast Discord server, and you will be entered for the draw. There's Vortex Crossfire 2 Red Dot, $100 in Cabela's gift cards, and a gun goodie bag. Little knickknacks, cleaning kit, stickers, chamber flags, M-LOK accessories, and the link for the Discord server, if you are not on there, is there right now. And another thing we should mention in here with the CCFR and fundraisers, the 2023 Gunny Girl calendars are now available for sale. So I have put posted the link in the comments there. You can go there, get your 2023 calendar, and I believe all that money goes to the women's program.
It does, yeah.
So once again, helping out the CCFR for everything they're doing.
Yeah, and it helps grow our community overall.
Okay, we'll move on to New Gun Stuff. New Gun Stuff is brought to you by Bullseye North. Need a new boomstick? Bullseye North is Canada's shooting superstore and a proud supporter of the CCFR. With a wide selection of guns and top trending gear for any shooter. They offer free shipping over $200. Some exclusions apply, like ammo. And you can subscribe to their weekly newsletter to get first access to the hottest deals. And unfortunately, I haven't heard anything for new stuff this week, for anything new coming out. It's getting that time that Black Friday sales are going to be starting to come out, and I think we're going to be covering that in great detail next week.
Yes.
But I was browsing the Bullseye website, and right at the top of the main page, they have their weekly deals, and I can tell you right now, I went scrolling through there is a lot of stuff in there. Example, there was some UMC 223 ammo, full metal jacket, 1,000 rounds for like $845 a thousand. Yep. So versus the $930. So they got some, yeah. Yeah, it's bad when we get excited about $845 for 1,000 223.
Well, I got excited about $400 9mm, right?
Yeah.
And it used to be much less than that, but here we are.
Yeah, here we are. But it's that time of year that there's going to be some good deals coming around, and like I said, we will be covering it in great detail next week.
Yeah, and Bullseye has tons of inventory, tons of sales. Check them out.
Yep. And now our main topic. Yeah. So, as we said earlier, a few minutes ago, this is going to be a short show, I think, but we'll get there. Wanted to go over dry fire. It's wintertime set in, not so much live fire outside and all that. So we wanted to kind of go over the essentials and how to properly dry fire. Yes. And one thing I wanted to lead off with, which is the biggest rule of them all, is that you don't have any live ammo around. Not in your gun, not near you. Never. I actually know people who have mistakenly not done that and put holes through a wall.
Yeah.
So
because people get distracted, family coming and going, you start your practice, next thing you know, you're like, oh, what just happened? And then, that's 100% the most important thing. Yeah. Right. Well, have your dummy rounds, have your, all that stuff.
Have your dummy rounds if you need them. I made dummy rounds for pistol, and I made sure there was different colors, so they're colored projectiles, different color brass. I leave the spent primer in there just so that the firing pin has something to go up against, but it's a spent primer. But I find I don't use the dummy rounds for my pistol dry fire.
Because you don't like the weight is less?
No, it's not the weight. I pick up my shotgun shells enough. I don't want to pick other stuff up off the ground after racking.
Oh, okay.
Now, and I do have a workaround so you can do the slide manipulation without having a round in there and not going to slide lock.
Okay.
So, since we're on that, what I do is I got just a Glock mag. I've already prepped it. It's got a pin. It's really nice if you got one of the base pads that has the pin. Yes. And quite literally, pull out your follower.
Ah.
And you can throw your base pad back on. Still got the same feel and everything. Yeah. But now, you can load it in. And it doesn't lock back.
Yeah. Nice.
So now, if you are going to work your slide manipulations, you can do that without going to slide lock. Or you do what I did to my 2011, which what I did with that is I actually, on the slide release, there's a little ball in there. So
Hmm.
right at the end here, so I actually took a Dremel and put a detent on the release itself. So when I take my 2011 mag, because this doesn't have the pin at the back, so this
Hmm.
base pad would just come off. Put that in there, and it won't go to sled
Nice.
lock. So that's what I've done to my pistols, so that I can train the slide manipulations without worrying about slide lock and that
Yeah,
stuff.
that's clever. Very clever.
And I just shoot my 2011 like that all the time, because the 2011's kind of been notorious for not being the most reliable for slide lock. So that's just something I did just so I don't have to guess. I just know now. It's the same
Very good.
manipulation every time, pretty much.
Very good.
But went off track there a little bit. To start off with, like what let's start off with your basic dry fire. What do you do? What points are you hitting on?
Well, I've been really focusing on grip, and it's something I guess I didn't um, put enough thought into early on. And I think I mentioned on previous shows where I didn't live fire enough, live fire practice enough, or at all, but besides matches, that I thought my grip was sufficient because in dry fire there's no recoil, there's no your hands aren't being pushed around, right? So I thought it was good enough, but then I'm learning that it wasn't. So now during dry fire, I'm making a lot more effort to use my support hand more, to be stronger with my support hand. Some strength in my strong hand, but not too much that you get that trigger freeze, right? You want to,
Right.
your trigger finger still has to be able to, do its job without, being locked up. So, but I'm really, so when I'm doing my draws, when I'm doing my mag changes, I'm making sure that I'm really concentrating on having a good strong grip with my support hand. So that's something that I've really focused, I'd say, the last 3 4 weeks. And then I'm starting to see results because of that. And again, it wasn't something I just thought, oh, my grip's good enough, right? But it's good enough in dry fire practice. It's not good enough when the gun's going off. So
Right.
that's definitely, so I've been really putting extra effort into that.
Okay. Do you do anything for training your trigger prep?
Not so much. And I was trying to look into that. So for the for a double action gun like a Tanfoglio or Shadow 2, uh, I'm trying to figure out how to lock the hammer back to be able to still practice single action in a dry fire setting, like to keep the
Mm-hmm.
to keep the hammer, whether like it's an elastic band or something that keeps the hammer back, right? So that I could still feel that single action pull.
Okay, so I got something for you on that. Now you won't
Ah,
be actively looking at the sites when you do this. This is something Keith Garcia had shown us, because he was saying he wants you to pull. Well, something you should do every time. Make sure it's
yes,
clean,
yes.
clear. So he wants you to pull the trigger and come off and be prepped right back, right on your brake. So what he shows us is, okay, you pull the trigger, and then you physically just rack the slide and manipulate your trigger finger and get it prepped again.
Okay, okay,
And and you,
okay.
and in this setting, like you want to be able to get right back to that prep, so it's just a little bit before that breaks. So like he says, if once in a while it does that, that's fine. You end up learning where that break is. So
Mm,
it's something you can, if you live alone or whatever, you can be sitting there watching TV and
yeah, yeah.
you just learn your trigger prep there, and where your trigger, your break is on your trigger.
Mm,
So
interesting. Good tip.
yeah. Okay, so you've been focusing on grip. Like what
Yes,
when you set up for your evening or morning of dry fire,
yes.
why don't you walk us through your routine? What are you doing? How do you progress? What kind of
Okay,
quick
so
drills do you do?
I've set up. let's call them two arrays. So in a basement setting, I have I guess there's an open area and then there's another area behind a door. So I've set up various targets in the two areas, and then pretty much every few days I kind of move them around and stuff. Nothing too crazy. And I'm working on the transitions, but transitions at various distances, right? So
Mm.
you got some short distance targets, you have some, you know, much further back, and that way I'm practicing transitioning not just left to right, right to left, but the distance change as well.
Okay.
So right, and then it's just this, and I've been working on with that I've been working on the target focus, right? And that's something like I've been really trying to work hard on, and that's something we talked about before about, you know, focusing on that target, and the sites are just kind of there in the way, right?
Right.
um so yeah, so then I've been doing that, and I've been with that, as I mentioned, there's a doorway, so I practice like kind of leaning, starting
Okay.
behind the door, then the idea of you know, that you have a fault line that you have to kind of move around, not break, but kind of
Right.
you know, torque your
Yeah,
body,
you're
whatever to,
leaning you're
yeah,
leaning
leaning
around a
left or right,
barricade or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So I don't really have any barrels set up or anything like that, but maybe down the road I will. And then I ordered from Go Found Suck. I ordered a um, an IPSC dry fire kit, and it's one of the ones where it's got the different distance ratios, right? So one,
Mm.
a third and a sixth, whatever. So that way you can do. I think it's uh, 10 feet. Either at 10 feet will represent 10 yards or 20 yards, something like that. And then even from them, I ordered. I can't wait to see it. I didn't get it yet. It's like a little mini swinger, so I can't wait.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's just one that you gotta attach to a wall, whatever, or
Yeah.
on a desk. So I can't wait to try that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I just kind of, like I said, I just move stuff around and really trying to focus on the distance, the, you know, the movement, and I'm doing some movement in between, right? Because I'm running between, and then with my shot timer, I set a time that I think is good, and then I start to lower it to push myself to
Mm.
obviously go faster, right?
Right. Yeah, you have
So
your warm up speed and then okay,
yeah,
we're warmed up, so now do
and
you
then
okay, here's a good question. Do you go
yeah,
in and you're just trying to do it as fast as possible, right?
yes,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay, that's not the answer I was gonna look for.
Well, I'm trying to see the targets, but then I'm trying to go
Yeah,
faster after that,
yeah,
right? But
yeah. Well, I was kind of going for there was that dry fire. Like you spend a lot of time dry firing versus live fire, or you can
yes,
spend so much more time because it's cheap, it's free.
it's free, yeah.
That you can make or break bad habits really quick dry firing. So one thing I say is always first and foremost focus on that good form, that be honest with yourself with the
Yes.
good sight picture. It's not just a race like, oh, can I get this down half second draw? Well, guess what? Chances are you do that on the line. There's not many people out there that can do that.
Mm.
And so it's not going to reflect into the live fire if you get sloppy and you just basically screw around and you're not honest with yourself.
Yeah, no, I meant like going
Yeah.
faster in terms of, even like I said, I have the two arrays and I'm trying to push myself to go
Yep.
faster going between them, and having my gun up ready to engage like the second set, instead of having it low and then you get there and then you bring the pistol up and then you're,
Yeah,
you know, engaging the targets. So that's kind of like the faster part of it, or the quicker part of it.
for sure. Yeah. Once your main focus is the form, but yeah, I understand exactly because I do the same thing. Get the form, still always focus on the form and everything and being honest. But yeah, you're trying to get better, so you're trying to push that time for
Hmm.
sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you're training your eyes to see the targets faster, right? This
Yep.
is you've engaged the one and you're already moving your eyes to the next one, and you're moving and the next one and the next one, and increasing that speed.
Oh yeah, and at first it's gonna be tough, but yeah, you're right. Like that even not even the shooting aspect, but like your transition between target, like you say, where your eyes go, then your gun follows.
Yeah.
That's a perfect time to be training that, especially because you can easily change the distance apart of your targets. You can have them right side by side, or you can have, a couple side by side, and then two that are just like
a
spread
wider
way
transition.
apart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so like I've done is sounds like we got the similar stickers. So I have these dry fire stickers, and I got them put up around, and like they come with hands and barrels and
Nice.
make tuxedo. I did set up a few like that, but I find I use basically like the 1/6, so this size right here.
Yeah.
I have a few of the big ones set up just back here, but I was actually using them when I was further around the corner or whatever. And I like you kind of set up a lot of moving, like it was a narrow corridor. So I even went out, got like, one of those ladder rung strings or whatever.
Yeah.
I got one of those to kind of work on foot placement. I find I don't use it that often really for dry fire. For one, I still got more cleanup to do in the basement. It takes up quite a lot of space.
It does. Yes.
I ended up just taking and just using the dry fire to focus on the physical manipulation of the firearm, the reloads, the transition between platforms, because I was doing dry fire for 3-gun, not just IPSC. And so I actually had a table set up, and I would do it's a live fire drill, but you can easily do it for dry fire. And it's called a WMD drill. Another one from Keith Garcia, and it's weapons manipulation drill. And you basically got 3 different reloads, basically. So you start with one in the gun, it goes to slide lock. So how do we do it? Started off with shotgun, because we had shotgun rounds stacked on the table. So what you would do is you pick up your shotgun, click, grab the 4 rounds that you stacked up on the table, load them in, come up, then load from the belt. And I mean, you don't get a full quad, but even just getting used to picking. So I would even just take 2 off the table and then pull a 4 off my shell caddy, so I get used to pulling just 4 off my shell caddy.
Okay. And for people that don't know what quad loading is, can you explain it to us?
So quad loading is you got 4 rounds and they are stacked in your hand just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you shove them in. This first section will go into the tube. You come back and you load the next section in. Next 2 in. So, and you can do strong hand, weak hand. Weak hand, you roll the shotgun under your armpit. That's the way I like to reload. Strong hand, you flip it up over your shoulder and you load from the side.
So for 3-gun, we know the pistol stuff, we know the shotgun stuff. What are you doing specifically for rifle for dry fire?
Rifle, it's getting up on target, getting behind the scope, getting up on target. Same thing with the transitions. And actually, I find I struggled most with the rifle reloads. So unfortunately, unless you have like a LAR mag, like a pistol mag, you're not going to be able to legally do the remove the follower trick. Like if you have like a Beowulf or mag or like a PMag or something, because to get that follower out, you got to drill out a rivet. Well, that's illegal. You can't do that. So, but I don't, for the manipulating of the bolt, I'll just split it up. Whether, okay, right now I am practicing running the bolt, racking the gun. Okay, now I'm just going to practice reloads. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's the way it kind of has to be unless you have those pistol mags.
And for rifle, how are you practicing for distance? Are you able to practice for distance?
Well, I know there are PRS guys that do. I know they print out like this whole landscape and they have this thing in their basement and they dry fire. I don't really train for distance outside of live fire. And even then I find with my range, I'm 100 yards. So unfortunately, my distance training ends up being at the match.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and I was just
So
thinking about that. That's definitely something very difficult to do
yeah,
indoors, right?
yeah,
Most people don't live in a mega warehouse, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, you have to talk to some PRS guys to see what they do for that, because I know there are people who do that. They do the dry fire at home and they have a landscape printed out with targets in amongst the landscape. Not so.
interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, so with the WMD drill, that kind of goes through with all three. One, you'll have tap rack, okay, load from the belt, okay, load from the table, okay. And you can do it for live fire and dry fire, and then same thing with the rifle. And you just work your way through, so that gives you your practice on dumping your gun, grabbing your new gun, and also your your reloading. So I even bought a garbage can so I can dump my rifle or my shotgun into
Nice.
the barrel to go and grab my next firearm.
Yeah,
And
three gun definitely has to be much more involved than just pistol. So
yeah, well, you got three platforms, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
One interesting thing I did, and I'm starting to use it more and more. You know those walking treadmills? They
Yes.
just they lay flat. There's no arch that comes up
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually picked one of those up off Amazon. It was like $300 or something like that. And it does have a handle that if I want to go faster, I can put it up. But I got one of those so that I could practice. Basically, I'm walking. I think I can go up to like 7 kilometers an hour or something without raising the arm, the safety
Ah,
bar. And so now I can just stand in one spot while I'm moving. I can practice transitioning between targets. I can practice my reloads, and if I put my barrel beside it, I can start with a long gun dump, draw my pistol, and practice target acquisition on the move without actually going
being
anywhere.
being on the move. Yeah, I like it. That's great. That's great.
So yeah, but yeah, like I really focus on the manipulation side of it, and yeah, being honest with the site. Like if I'm doing a quad load drill where okay, I'm trying to break 2 second quad load, I
Okay.
on it really honest, like okay, break the shot and freeze, and I look down my barrel like okay, was I even with the vent rib? Was my sight actually on target, or did I rush that? Am I lazy mounting?
Mm,
What's going on here? Because with the shotgun, it's basically you load, you're there.
hmm
It's a short drill, and now we're pistol. Yeah, okay, it's so easy to reload more that yeah, okay, you might go for a little bit longer of a string before actually stopping.
hmm. I wanted to talk about resources. So uh, getting to starting dry fire practice. I could talk about the pistol side. That I think the two main ones that most people use reference or Ben Stager that we had on the show a few weeks ago, right? His practical shooting training group site and his store. He's got books that most people that are into IPSC or IDPA or whatever
Yeah.
have like probably gone through. He's got a lot of stuff on his site, and then the other one is Steve Anderson, Anderson Shooting.
Hmm.
He's also got the books and the website. He does a podcast. It's pretty entertaining too. And so I think for the pistol side, those are like the two like main dry fire reference guides, I guess. How
Yeah,
about
for
for
sure.
three gun? If you were gonna start practicing dry firing for three gun, where would you look?
Uh Keith Garcia does have a lot of stuff out there, and really, like the way I look at it, if you got a live fire drill out there, chances are it can be adopted for the most part to dry fire.
Okay.
So just I know there's people who like to set up an entire stage around their house, and that is fun, but that I don't think that that is taking advantage of the time that you have sitting at home. Personally, I think just quick little short things that you can quickly knock out and then reset and you can just repeat that, get that muscle memory, repeat it.
Mhm.
You know, instead of working on 10 things at once, you're working on 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right? That in my mind, that's kind of, and I treat my live fire with that too, where when I do go out to live fire train, I pick like 2 or 3 things that are my main things that I'm working on at that point. Yes, you're working on everything, but those are the 2 or 3 things are like my main focus. So, you know, if I had a misstep there, but I'm not working on my footwork that day, it's like, okay, well, I'll make a mental note, but that's beside what I pick drills to focus on the main thing. So if I'm not working on footwork, chances are my drills aren't going to have a lot of footwork in them when I go out and do live fire. Richard's got a comment here. Highly recommend Mantis X10 for measuring trigger control, combined with a laser cartridge and Mantis Laser Academy to help with confirmation of target accuracy. I've heard good things about the Mantis, and there's also the Cool Fire if you want to get that slide action.
Yeah, a little bit of the recoil feel.
Yeah,
right.
But
it's a bit on the pricey side, and then you have to, you're committing to one gun or whatever, because unless you're going to be buying a bunch of those kits, but
yeah, I mean, if you have the money, yeah, there's lots of tools that you can buy. I don't think, while they are handy, like the Mantis, like the Cool Fire, I don't think they're gimmicks. I think they are actually handy
there's value
with the intention that they're there for. But to do it, I know a couple guys who are national champs, and they don't use anything like that for their dry fire. It's just your basic stand in your room and picking out targets. And I don't even think they've even bought the stickers. Like, I know one of them is basically like picking a light switch, picking a spot on the wall. Like, you could even like those little stickies that you got in those show me targets, put those up around your room, and there you got a little dot to
just
aim at. So that's the thing. It is super cheap to do, and you don't have to get the gimmicks. But the gimmicks, like I said, they're not gimmicks. That's the thing. The tools out there aren't gimmicks, but it's all up to the individual. If you can afford it and you use it as it's intended, it's gonna help you.
And Richard makes a good point that it's cheaper than ammo at the moment. So
yeah. And reusable. You invest that money. It's not like, those rounds are gone. Now I gotta spend that money again for another go.
Like getting your bullets back.
Yeah. So
anything else we want to cover on dry fire?
I don't think they're. No, it's like you can take it overboard. Like I said, break it down to the basics. Even like your grip,
Yes.
Start super slow, and if you find you're just getting a bad grip, okay, well, practice again. Okay, slow it down, and grab, press out. Okay, that was a good draw, and
if you're coming up and having to fix your hands again, then you didn't get a good draw. You didn't get a good grip on the draw.
And I think right now is actually a perfect time to do that. Just focus on your draw or your presenting on target.
Yes.
And do that slow, work it up. And then we got long winter ahead of us, so not all of us have a ton of indoor ranges hosting IPSC matches year round. So
I feel sorry for you Albertans. Well, just for that, everything else you guys got going on, but
But that's the biggest thing I would say is just be honest with yourself. Take the time. It's a time to break everything down to the basics and really set some good habits. Richard again is saying, also, if you can, video yourself on your phone. You can then review draw reloads technique. It may have felt good, but did it look good on review? Absolutely, I 100% agree with that. I've done that. One of the biggest things with me is like Jerry Meshalik will say it too, like wasted movement. And I find like, okay, I grab my shotgun, for some reason I'm dipping down. well, why am I dipping down? And catch yourself. Oh, I had my both eyes open. Look at the video. No, you didn't. And so yeah, that's actually a very good one. Use your phone, get it set up on
Yep.
a tripod, and you know mix it in with the full speed and the slow mo. Slow mo is a really good tool to use as well with
To
that.
really
With that,
break things down, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that we pretty much cover everything. Just to like I said, I kept stressing it, but reminder: use it as a training tool and practice the basics. Good practice will have good results.
We should ask our unofficial co-host Richard. Anything else we should mention?
Yeah, but yeah, Richard's had some good thoughts here. Absolutely.
He has, yeah,
So
for sure.
thank you, Richard. But I think we'll move on. It's gonna be a little
Move
bit
on, yeah.
shorter of a show tonight, but I think we gave some decent information for that. Oh, actually, I will add something. Like if you are training shotgun, what you can do is you can get one of those Lee single shot reloaders for shotgun. They're usually like 130 bucks. And I just picked up old rounds, old hulls. Made sure that's another one. Like if you're gonna do this, make sure you use a different color than what you normally use. Same thing if you're gonna make dummy rounds for your pistol. Make sure that they are easily identifiable from your live ammo.
Absolutely, yeah.
Once again, keep the spent primer in there. But these ones, I had got a bunch of lead shots, so I actually filled these with the appropriate lead shot and old. I had actually used old, dirty tumbler media, but you can use anything, sand, whatever. And with that reloader, crimped it up and just super cheap. Made my own dummy rounds for shotgun, and actually, I made sure that in total that they were very, very close, like within a couple grains of an actual shotgun shell. So you get the tactile feel, you get the exact weight, they function perfect. So that's what I do for shotgun. It's super cheap to get into, and everybody's always looking for them too. So you can sell them to your buddies for a few bucks or something.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, with that, I think we're gonna move on to listener feedback.
Yes.
And we
take,
had a Facebook comment right after the show last week. And sure, yeah, if you want to read that, go for it.
Charlie Foxtrot, the Knives with Josh episode was really enjoyable show. Thanks. Even though I've carried a knife for God 40 years, a Buck 110 square bolster folder that I used and abused as an industrial electrician, I've only lately become aware of the larger and incredibly varied world of knives beyond the Buck and Swiss Army knives. As a gun knife guy, Josh's talk was spot on. I wouldn't mind a bit if he came on the show occasionally to share a bit more of his knowledge. Thanks again.
Yeah, that was a fun episode last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we got an email here as well.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
I missed an. You okay with that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Anybody else want to read it? No.
Maybe we'll get Richard to read it. No.
Richard. Okay, so the email. I missed the knife episode live, but listening back, I had to add my 2 cents. I'm not as into knives as I used to be, but I still know a little bit here and there. I was mildly surprised that a couple of my favorite brands were mentioned for people getting into knives. My go-to recommendation for a starter knife is the Ontario RAT1 in D2 steel. It comes in AUS 8 as well, but D2 holds on edge much better. Or if you prefer a flipper style opening instead of thumb stud, other on I really like is the steel. The other one I really like is the steel will, cut jack, or modus. They come in a variety of steel and handle materials, but my personal preference is M390 with G10. If you want a little bit more spendy and support Canadian knife makers, you could always go with Grimsmo. The Grimsmo Norseman is the only knife over $300 I've owned that I felt like it was actually worth the price tag. Hands down, my favorite knife. Side note, if you really like the Grimsmo knife, They make pens as well to match. But if that's out of your price range, the North Arms Skaha 2 is another great knife made in Canada. I could go on and on about sharpening as well, but I'll leave you with a couple quick recommendations. The Lansky system is a decent starter system, but after testing a bunch of different ones for any knives under 4 inches, my favorite is the KME system. Lots of upgrades and aftermarket storms for it, and it is super fast and easy to get a razor edge on anything. I can use it for sharpening scissors and serrated blades.
Hmm.
For anything over 6 inches, I'll usually freehand on Shapton glass bench stones. They are much harder than typical water stones, which makes them more forgiving for beginners. Finally, the KO Work Sharp is great for anything super cheap or for tools like machetes and axes. Cheers, Doug. Good letter.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that, Doug. Some good insights in there for sure. Yeah, we didn't really get into too deep of brands last week, but yeah, there's a lot of brands out there for sure. And you meant the Canadian ones he mentioned, I actually hadn't heard of, so that's cool.
Yeah, we'll have to check them out.
Yeah. So here's another reminder that we have a Cabela's link. So if you're shopping on Cabela's, and I imagine a bunch of people will be here in the next week and a half or so. If you go to our website, it's right there on the main page and side banner. You click that link, and when you do, it gives us a little kickback. It won't cost you anything more, but Cabela's will give us a little bit of kickback to help towards hosting, or like Adriel said, the Slamfire helicopter.
Yes. Everybody needs a helicopter.
Yeah. We did have one YouTube comment, and it was from Joel T on Gersan Testing and Review. He said his brother's Stoeger 3000. The book said to use 1 1/8 ounce and 3 dram loads. And yeah, it's a standard. I do know the 3000s will run a little bit lighter. You can run 1 ounce, 2 3/4 dram loads through them, because that's basically the same thing as the M3K, the Stoeger 3000. Still good shotgun. So thank you to everyone who wrote in. And no new patronies, but if you would like to become a Patreon, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Slamfire Radio. And we are working on some content. In fact, I think the shotgun videos I'm working on, I think I might actually release those to the Patreon listeners first before we put it to the main channel. So
very nice.
We have been covering the comments here, but Mark Platt here says, I'll be scrubbing through last episode to complete his knife shopping list. Very helpful for a new guy like him. Perfect.
Nice.
And with that, it is a short show. So thank you all for tuning in. Come back. I guess we should do the shout outs. You got any shout outs there, Mo?
No, I guess we could just mention that the calendar, the CCFR Gunny Girls calendar, is available. So shout out to them for that.
Yeah. I don't really have a shout out, but with that, we're going to sign off. So go check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. Give us a like on Facebook, YouTube, all that, and give us reviews, comments, reviews, everything. We'll review them. We'll read them online, whatever. Join the CCFR, and we will see you next week.
Good night, everyone.
Oh, Richard says a shout out to his official co-host for another fun episode. Good
Thanks,
night,
Richard.
Kelly. Richard says
good working with you.
All right. See everybody next week.
Good night.